So it's quite interesting, for me, Roger. One of the most valuable things that you taught me was your whole wealth dynamics test. And we don't have time tonight to go into a huge amount of detail. But one of the things that they also do is what's called a micro degree. So I did that in February. I spent 4 days or something. And the whole logic is that we basically built our company. When I started IPS 2004 in Putney Bridge, we hired a venue, similar to this, people came up, we gave a presentation. And now with digital and everything, we've got the micro degree. And Roger basically took, and I've got it up on the screen there, Roger took, tell us a little bit about wealth dynamics, the I Ching, how the personalities work, and then we overlaid that as for investors now so that they can work out the sequencing of where they're going, sort of that future-proofing AI that you spoke about.
Yeah, well, first of all, the whole idea of actually learning in bite-sized chunks and self-awareness, right? This is all about self-awareness, and I created Wealth Dynamics as a tool for entrepreneurs to figure out, am I more like an Oprah Winfrey with extrovert? Am I more like a Warren Buffett as kind of like an introvert? And am I more like a Bill Gates as a creator? Like knowing that there's 8 different paths to how all entrepreneurs create value and leverage that value as well. And then that's being taken by about 500,000 people around the world that use that to build their teams. And it's all about self-awareness. Like if you actually know who you are and where you're strong and where you're weak, you can get a great team around you. And then off the back of that, saying how do we actually get this in bite-sized pieces so people immediately get something that goes, okay, that was really high value. I was talking to David earlier about Singularity University, which David helped to found, and I was at the second one ever, which was I think like 5-6 years ago or something, and there's a very small number of people there, 25, 30 people, and one of the people there, his name was Sebastian Thrun. So at that point, Sebastian had already created the Google car, and that was all going. He brought one of them around. He was, I think, the main lecturer for AI at Stanford, and it was actually, in fact, this was the year when he was experimenting the very first videoed Stanford course, and he got massive resistance from Stanford. They're like, hey, we got all these people paying all this money coming to Stanford, and you're just going to video it to the world. And he goes, yeah, I just have this sense that more than 30 people in my class want to see what I have to say. And sure enough, he got 10,000 plus people sign up to actually watch him live to do his courses.
120,000.
It's 120,000 by the time it finishes. I think about it, he's got 30 in the room, he's got 120,000. And so what happened at the end of it was he went back to Stanford and said, this is awesome, look how many people we went out and impacted, they were all getting to know AI, and they said, please do not do that again, right? So he left there and he actually set up Udacity. And Udacity, to begin with, was one of the big MOOCs, which is kind of like one-to-many, right? Like one-to-many, one lecturer tells everybody, 100,000 people, and it never took off. Well, it grew, but it didn't grow at the level he wanted to until he switched it, and instead of just doing a general AI, course, why don't I go to Google and say, we're going to do a course specifically for how to program self-driving cars, right? Or we'll go to Microsoft, who's developing HoloLens, and we'll say, here's a course to know how to code for the HoloLens. Given that they all needed all these different people who didn't have the skills to do this. So then it was perfect. The companies were now supporting that. So we took that, and he called them nano degrees. And within months, it became $1 billion business. So we saw that at the time we started GeniusU. We said, well, that's the future of education. To have micro degrees, tiny little micro degrees, you can do one thing at a time, where it's actually supported by the companies that know they want everyone out there to have high self-awareness. So when Scott came along with Wealth Migrate and said, we really want people to understand the fact that what's stopping them from investing is not their capital. What's stopping them from investing is their own understanding of investments. And we broke that down and said, well, we can use the same 5 things which we use within our Wealth Dynamics Square, which are basically the 5 Chinese elements, right? Where you've got kind of water energy, which is all about the why question. You've got kind of spring, which is the first step, which is all about the what question. And then the who, which are the extroverts, which is the summer. And then the when, which is the tempo energy, which is the guys good at timing. And then the how, which is all the guys that are really good at the intro side, which is figuring out the how. And saying every one of these actually links to a different quotient. Investment quotient is all about your mindset knowledge. Purpose quotient, because if you're actually doing it just for the money, it's never going to work for you. So what's the bigger purpose? Connected quotient, how connected are you? Financial quotient, how much do you actually understand the metrics behind it? And the system quotient, how much do you have a system together? Because the reality is that probably everyone in this room, you're probably strong in 1 or 2 of these areas. You might have done some investments yourself, you go, you know what, I've got a strong investment quotient. But connected quotient, I don't know the guys doing deals hundreds of times the size of the ones I'm doing, which is why I'm not at that level yet. But once you actually know what that is, you can then immediately figure it out. So we put this together in 4 days, and this is a free test, which is now launching, which allows pretty much anyone in the world, from a 7 or 8 year old all the way through to someone who's a seasoned investor to just get a sense as to what it takes to actually build up your own ability to build your own wealth quotient, which is fundamentally your ability to invest. So kind of like a bit of a backstory in terms of why we're doing it in bite-sized pieces, but how with this information you're far more equipped to then go out there and go on your journey of discovery than reading a book on investing and then knowing the knowledge, but not yet knowing the direction as to what you need to do with it.
Excellent.